Previously on Arrested Development.
Maybe. But it's only embezzlement if you spend it outside the company.
And if you spend it within the company, it gives the prosecutors nothing.
Ayo, DSP projecting here. While first and foremost, I'm an established parody artist, I've dabbled in some auditing in my days. Phil's bankruptcy is what we would call clearly trivial. One condo and some credit cards, that's just crumbs for an overworked and underpaid bankruptcy judge. But a well-paid divorce lawyer fighting for their client that was possibly both financially and emotionally abused throughout the marriage? That's the motherfucker I would bet would want to shine a light on the books of Burnell's bustling business. But before we get there, let's see how his Christmas was.
I had a really great Christmas. Like, no exaggeration, probably one of the best I've had that I can even remember yesterday. And everything pretty much went right. Like, I can't even think about a single negative thing that happened.
We all know the two fundamental truths. Something always goes wrong when Phil does it, and it's never Phil's fault. Was his Christmas actually perfect? Or did he just have to pretend it was because his wife wasn't there to blame everything on?
And I even told you guys, that's what I was looking for, right? Like, I was just looking to have a relaxing day with my wife. And people ask me this year, what do you want? That's it. That's literally all I wanted. I didn't want any physical things, right? Don't send me a gift or monetary stuff. I just want to have a good day with my wife, and I got it. And that's the best Christmas present that you can have when you get older.
Let's ignore the part about how he doesn't want to do physical things with his wife, because it's more so he can't because she's not there. Let's focus on the no gifts or monetary stuff. Very specific. It's almost like he's worried an increase in assets may result in an increase in tax liability. That would further complicate his whole year-end cleanup scheme I'll get to later. Stick around.
A musky, dark room full of equipment that was not well set up, that was not well executed. It was just a mess for a decade. With the new setup, I've been messing with different boom arms. I actually got two. Okay. Well, first of all, I got this weighted like stand to put on the desk. So I actually ordered two different brands of microphone boom arm. And right now, here's my setup. I have a boom arm from one company, and I'm actually using a clamp from another company. What do you mean, Phil? Well, I ordered two boom arms, right? Get a Shure SM7B microphone and point it down. Yeah, is that a good one? I'm probably not getting a $360 mic. That seems a bit excessive. Oh, $360 is a big ask. That's so expensive, man. There's a lower end Shure MV7 that's $250 and a great choice for the price point. The cost of doing business. Well, no. Admittedly, here's the deal. I want to do all the upgrades before the end of the year. Anything that I buy right now is basically an end of the year tax write-off. So all these upgrades I'm doing are all tax write-offs for the end of 2024. So it makes more sense to do them all before the end of December than to hold off. So
there's going to be a lot to unpack with this scheme. My loyal viewers will remember that in one of my recent videos, I clipped him numerous times mentioning that he needed to start saving. He said he was done with big purchases, but is now seemingly spending money as quickly as it comes in and is now an expert on tax write-offs. Spoiler alert, later I'll have a clip of him the very next day admitting he has no idea what he's talking about. Fuck it. Let's look at it now. He really tells on himself with this one, and will make it easier for me to explain to you what he appears to be doing.
Do I get to write 100% off for tax? No, James. For what I'm going to understand, again, I'm not a tax guy. I really don't know. This is me talking out of my butt, and this is very general understanding. When you spend money on things for a business, all right, you account for all of it. You got to keep your receipts. You've got to do all this stuff. And then you basically have to account for all the different costs of your business each and every month. And when you buy something that's a physical investment for your business, like all this equipment I'm buying, okay, I basically put it all into a spreadsheet and I send it to my tax people, and I say, hey, during this month I spent this, during this month I spent this. Okay, they figure it out. I don't know if it's like, okay, 100% of what you spent is a tax write-off, if 10% of what you spent is a tax write-off, if 50% of what you spent is a tax write-off. I just know that it's a tax write-off in some way. Okay? That's all I know. So basically, what all these upgrades I'm doing will be some tax write-off in some form. As long as I get it in by the end of the year, it'll count for 2024. If I wait till January, well, that's not going to affect me till 2025 taxes, which is another year down the road. So I want to get it all in now. So this way, overall for 2024, I'll owe less tax to the government. Now, how much less? I have no clue. I'm not going to talk about that because literally every word out of my mouth is well documented by my haters and idiotic trolls who then literally do insane, obsessive things. Like, you have no idea how many people have threatened that they're going to get the IRS to get at me because I said this on a stream. It's like, dude, I'm not a tax authority. Like, I never was. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I don't file my own taxes. I pay big money to have tax people who know what they're doing take all the information that I gather for them and I give it to them and they do the taxes, not me. So just because I said something on a stream doesn't necessarily mean that I know exactly what I'm talking about or that it's 100% accurate. That's why I pay professionals to do it. I pay top dollar. It's very expensive to have professional people do your taxes, but it's worth it because I always know that my taxes are being done properly. You know? But God forbid I say something. Imagine if right now I said on stream 100% matter-of-factly believing, oh, yes, every single dollar that I'm spending on the business is 100% a tax write-off, and therefore I will directly do this or that based on it. No, shit. They will literally record that and lie and try to get me in trouble for it, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just a dunce. I'm a dunce who pays someone to do his taxes, right? Like, just like everyone else, you're running a business. That doesn't mean I need to be a tax professional and understand how it all works. I just got to get the data. That's my job, is to accurately get data together and give it to the professionals. That's my job. And boy, that's why it takes me so long to do taxes. That's why every year I take like maybe 2-3 nights off to put all that data together to send it to them because there's a ton of data that I got to do, Okay. Brandon just did a $5 super chat. Why do some people dislike you when you're pretty funny? I would say ask them.
All right, so this is what I believe is going on. Let's pretend there is a divorce, and in figuring out this divorce, income may need to be looked at. Her lawyer will become suspicious seeing this internet streamer somehow break even every month, averaging $5,000 a month in business expenses, all while hitting his goals, crushing the trolls. Right now, his tax accountants, who somehow are simultaneously great but also get him owing back taxes all the time, have his spreadsheets, but at the end of the year, he needs to gather all his receipts. For once, this checks out. All year, Phil has been sending his tax guy only spreadsheets, which are likely to be used to calculate his estimated quarterly tax liability. Keyword estimated, therefore no receipts would be required yet. These spreadsheets, likely totaling thousands in expenses, but from January to October, the majority of those expenses are likely microtransactions. But for the purpose of tax estimates, all the accountants would look at is the total. He can hand his tax dude a spreadsheet full of microtransactions and even receipts for the microtransactions. But at the end of the day, nothing spent on his personal account would be considered business expenses and therefore should not be considered. The reason he is spending now is that he has to sort of replace on the books where all of that money went. It doesn't really matter what initially made up those estimates as long as the total expenses match up to the receipts at the end of the year. He'll replace those microtransactions with so-called legitimate business expenses like 3 boom arms. Then, during the divorce, all of the microtransactions he will claim that was all marital spending, gone with the wind. Notice how this question got him all worked up. It's because he knows he's not actually getting additional write-offs. He's struggling to replace every microtransaction boom arm by boom arm. He's also trying to play dumb. If he does get caught, he'll be the first to show that clip and claim plausible deniability. He didn't know what he was doing.
No, we're not. Could everyone shut up about RGB? People are just being stupid. Everything has to be RGB. No, it doesn't. They do. They have. I'm not even kidding you. They have RGB boom arms. RGB boom arms. Who the hell's going to see the RGBs on that? The idea of a boom arm is to keep them off the camera. That's why you have the boom arm. So everything's off camera. Why would you want an RGB boom arm? Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just silly. Carl the actor says at this point it would be easier to just say what doesn't have RGB nowadays. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. You can get RGB on anything, and it doesn't even make sense. Like, why would you want RGB on your mouse pad? You really want RGB there in your face as you're trying to play, like blaring in your eyeballs, right? Like, get RGB on the boom mic arm. The idea of the boom mic arm is to have it off camera. That's what you have the boom mic for. Why else would you have the arm? It's just, well, you know, the whole idea is it doesn't block your camera shot. It maneuvers the mic better in a place where it doesn't affect you. Why the holy hell would you want RGBs on it? Anyway, and by the way, it's not really RGBs, it's LEDs, right? RGB and LED are different. LED is the more modern thing. Like, these are all LED lights. You know, it's funny because they call them RGBs, but they're really not. They're way more versatile than just RGB. But anyway.
This guy just went off about how he doesn't speak matter-of-factly about stuff like taxes in case he's wrong, but then does the same exact thing about RGBs. As the creator of the RGB paper plate and a speaker of the English language, I suspect he may have been having a stroke. LEDs are relatively old inventions. As LEDs became more refined, more components were able to be put in smaller packages, creating the RGB, which is just 3 LEDs that share a common anode or cathode. On that note, please check out my 1000 subscribers special linked at the end of the video, which goes in a bit more detail about the RGB PP. If you're into that kind of stuff, I have a behind the scenes style picture on my Twitter that shows how it's wired up, microcontroller and all. It's almost like I have the ability to pivot to other styles of content if Phil goes away, while DSP proves time after time he's unable to do so. But at the end of the day, I can't do it without yous, and if you like this junk, please like, comment, and subscribe. Deuces!